William Maxwell is here, best known perhaps for his work as well as for his editorship at the New Yorker magazine. Born in 1908 in Lincoln, Illinois, he was 14 when his family moved to Chicago, continued his education there and at the University of Illinois. After a year of graduate education at Harvard, he went back to Urbana and taught freshman composition, and then he turned to writing. He's published 6 novels, 3 collections of short fiction, an autobiographical memoir, a collection of literary essays and reviews, and a book for children. As I mentioned, for 40 years he was an editor at the New Yorker, and he edited some of the giants of American literature, people like John Updike and people like, you're going to help me on this, Mr. Maxwell, Updike and O'Hara and Cheever and who else?
Shirley Hazard, Mary McCarthy.
Mary McCarthy.
Nabokov.
Nabokov.
Yes.
What makes a great editor, before we talk about your work?
Saul Bellow said once in a symposium at Smith that a writer is a reader who's moved to emulation. I think what makes an editor is the reader in the editor. The passion for reading has to be very strong.
The reader, a good editor has to have a passion for reading.
Yes.
Yeah. Has to put himself in the place of a reader, be there.
Yes, and to know when the writer is on solid ground, and to know when he's strayed out into the pasture, it has to be called back.
Mm. Do great writers have to be edited a lot? Does it depend? Do they have different styles? Or do the best of them simply need for you to, as you say, pull them back to?
I can't remember putting any editing whatever on Eudora Welty's manuscripts. And once somebody persuaded me to put a comma into a Salinger manuscript, and
J.T. Salinger.
And there was hell to pay.
No, what do you mean hell to pay?
Well, he was very upset.
Yeah.
He didn't want that comma, and I shouldn't have given way to the proofreader who said it was absolutely necessary. Of course, it wasn't necessary.
It was not necessary.
No, nothing is necessary.
But you held your ground.
No, I gave way, and that's what was the matter.
Oh, you gave way. Oh, I see.
So Salinger had reasons to be indignant. Most very good writers don't need much editing, but sometimes, well, for example, we published a whole novel by Nabokov.
Right.
And it needed a certain pushing to get into the space possible. And usually the better the writer, the more willing they are to accommodate the necessities of reality.
Yeah. The better the writer, the more willing they are to listen to.
Yes, and to be accommodating, if it's sensible.
But what does that say about Salinger?
Well, Salinger's idea of perfection is really perfection, and it shouldn't be tampered with.
Do you help with character?
No.
Development?
No. It's sometimes helpful if there's a certain waste, a certain treading water that can come out, or repetition, or something. It's most helpful if there's something there which they haven't seen, which should be developed. And you can say, how about this? What did the room look like inside?
So you act to stimulate.
You can play on a writer's talent the way you would on the piano.
Like how?
I used to say to Frank O'Connor, who was an oral writer, he was capable of marvelous descriptions, but they didn't interest him. He wanted to catch what his ear caught. And I would say, but what did it look like? And he would tell me, out of kindness, and it would go into the story.
Out of kindness?
Out of kindness to me, yes. He was a very affectionate man.
Any difference between men and women?
About amiability and being edited?
Yeah, right.
No.
No. There's no gender distinction at all.
No.
The fact that you are a good writer, does it make you a better editor? Because the reverse is not true. Good editors are not necessarily good writers.
The fact that I am a good editor makes me a better writer.
Ah.
They're both true.
Why then are so many good editors not necessarily good writers?
Because they're not a writer at all, perhaps.
Yeah. You've been asked these questions before, but I'm interested, so. Are most writers born or made? Is it an acquired talent, or are they born with something very special?
Once, I was having lunch with a man named Pete LeMay, who was misled into thinking he was going to inherit Knopf from Alfred Knopf. And he later, disillusioned, became a dramatist. Anyway, I was having lunch with him, and he was telling me about having been taken to see Willa Cather. Yeah. And I, as a young man in New York, wanted to see Willa Cather myself and asked somebody who knew her. And I got the expression, this is the novelist Ona Gale had been a kind of fairy godmother to me. I realized I'd asked the wrong question. I had asked her to take me to the one person that she couldn't take me to. Anyway, Pete LeMay was taken to Willa Cather, who was a recluse. Yeah. And I asked her all kinds of questions about her, and was astonished by the answers. And I said, well, whatever made her a writer, do you suppose? And he said, well, what makes anybody a writer? Deprivation, of course.
Deprivation?
Deprivation, of course. And then he begged my pardon.
Deprived of?
Anything. Anything serious, anything vital.
Deprived of love, deprived of...
Home.
Home.
Deprived of, as my older brother was, of his left leg. He didn't turn into a writer. Not all deprived people are writers, but... Yeah.
But scratch a good writer and you'll find some deprivation.
I've never found a good writer who didn't have some deprivation.
Or some loss.
Some loss.
Yeah,
and is making it up to himself through art.
Yeah. Let me talk about you. Your mother's death when you were 10, deprived of her. How central is that to you as a writer?
I thought you were going to ask how central of it is to me as a person.
It's a better question. I apologize.
When she died, the shine went out of everything and stayed out for a long, long while. And I couldn't really manage without her. And so I managed, this is in the realm of the unconscious, to incorporate her personality into my own. And I have friends who think they're fond of me, but they're really fond of my mother. And I can distinguish between the two.
You can distinguish
between the friends of my mother and the friends of me.
Yeah, how can you do that? What's the difference?
Well, because she was, I know that I'm fairly introverted and retiring, and she was very expansive and warm and hospitable. And I know.
So the friends that are attracted to an outgoing, expansive, yes, hospitable person who are your friends, but if they're attracted to that kind of person, you know they're really attracted to your mother within you.
Yes.
And those who are attracted to someone more subtle, retiring, quiet, or introverted are attracted to
peculiar.
Peculiar. Peculiar how?
Eccentric.
Eccentric how?
Yeah. Well, liking to work in my bathrobe and pajamas.
Until old age?
And not liking strangers until they've stopped being strangers. Then I find I like them. But in order for me to like people, I have to stop being strangers. So my mother comes in and settles the question.
Yeah. How about your father?
My father was a businessman. He was decent and honest and hardworking, and was dealt a terrible blow in his late 30s in the death of my mother, and came back from it. He impressed me when I was a child as being harsh, but he wasn't really harsh. It was that I took things too much to heart, and everything that wasn't warm and welcoming could seem harsh to me. He was deeply concerned, among other things, that I should learn to support myself. He saw dreamy imaginative child who liked to paint, and how the hell was he going to support himself? So I was a terrible anxiety to him. And when I got a job at the New Yorker, I had borrowed some money from him to come to New York and look for work. And I also had a little money I didn't tell him about in case his ran out.
A little safety.
I sent the check back to him that he had loaned. I sent the money back to him. And he wept because the anxiety went clear back to my childhood. And not only was I going to support myself, but I had a certain degree of probity. I paid my debts, and it was too much for him. He's an awfully nice man.
You moved when you were 14. Your mother died when 10, and you were born in 1908, so that would have been 1918 when she died. 1922, you moved to Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah. But Lincoln is at the heart of what you write.
Yes. By being taken away from it, it's encapsulated in time. I don't know how much different the Lincoln in my books is from present-day Lincoln. I would think resemblances and not resemblances, but that whole period is charged with feeling and charged with memory. And it was a beautiful little town. And everybody, because I was immature, everybody seemed larger than life size, and therefore good to write about.
This is you on the death of your mother. It's quoted in the New Republic in 1992. It happened too suddenly with no warning, and we, none of us, could believe it or bear it. My father's face turned the color of ashes and stayed that way a whole year. The beautiful, imaginative, protected world of my childhood was swept away. And so, like any survivor, I began to cherish in my mind the people and the scenes of the past. It made a novelist out of me.
Oh, nicely you read that.
Well, the words are so powerful. That made a novelist out of you. Your mother's death, your father's expression, that town, all of that. Because it gave you a way to do what?
I felt the need to put things back the way they were before, and I couldn't do it literally, but I could do it in the pages of a book, and so I did. I put the place back, I put the people back, I often put her back.
You say interesting things, Mr. Maxwell, and this is, again, from another time and place. You said, I do think that being an old man is one of the most interesting things that's ever happened to me because of all sorts of strange experiences. The opening up of memory, which I expected, and the enjoyment of life being progressively greater instead of diminished by age, that was a surprise. And memory is, 'tis perhaps the most remarkable part of all, because you live in the past, you live in the present, and you, like everyone, live in the future. You find being old interesting for those reasons.
Marvelous. I can't get enough of it.
And it's rich for you and full of...
It's marvelous. Instead of losses, it's gains. It's gains in understanding. It's gains in the freedom to move through your life and to enjoy the parts of your life that were pleasant, enjoy old friendships where people have died. You could be with them anytime you want to. You can be back in the place where you were happy. So vividly, so intensely, it might as well be the present. There's no difference, really. It's as if you just walked out of the room from something that happened 40 years ago.
Yeah. You don't fear death?
No, I like afternoon naps, for one thing.
Tell me about Emily. This is the dedication.
Yes. I can tell you best about Emily if I say what my father said when I took her home when we were first married.
50 years ago.
50 years ago. I waited, and one day passed, and he said nothing about her. The second day passed, and he said nothing, and I began to have hurt feelings. And then he said, when we were off by ourselves, you know, there has been nobody like her in our family in 3 generations. She's like a star. And he was a businessman, he was not a poet.
Yeah. She's like a star.
She's like a star.
You This book is improvisations, it's fables, it's stories.
Stories.
That you create that are drawn mostly from your life.
Almost
Two-thirds, almost entirely.
Almost entirely.
You read them, you talk them aloud to her in bed. Yes?
The improvisations I often did.
Yeah.
When we were first married, she liked to hear stories, and she hadn't had a private storyteller before.
What a gift!
So when the lights were out and we were in bed, she would say, "Now tell me a story," and I would. And sometimes I would fall asleep while I was telling a story, and she would shake me and say, "What happened next?" And then I would try to tell her.
Oh, that's great. And you would write them, some of them, and give them as gifts to your children?
Yes. Put them in the Christmas tree rolled up in a red ribbon.
Yeah. Written in your own handwriting, on a typewriter.
I really wrote them by sitting at the typewriter and waiting to see what came out of the typewriter. And I sat until there was a sentence that I had not written or planned in any way. It just came.
Yeah.
And out of that sentence, everything else flowed until I got to an obviously preordained end. Storytelling is like a musical ear. It's an innate thing, and I have it.
You sure do. Read me a story.
All right. This is called The Woman Who Never Drew Breath Except to Complain. In a country near Finland dwelt a woman who never drew breath except to complain. There was in that country much to complain of. The long cold winters, the scarcity of food, and robber bands that descended on poor farmers at night and left their fields and barns blazing. But these things the woman had, by an inequality of fate, been spared. Her husband was young and strong and worked hard and was kind to her. And they had a child, a 3-year-old boy, who was healthy and happy, obedient and good. The roof never leaked. There was always food in the larder and peat moss piled high outside the door with the fireplace she cooked by. But still the woman complained morning, noon, and night. One day when she was out feeding her hens, she heard a great beating of wings and looked up anxiously, thinking it was a hawk come to raid her hen coop, and saw a big white gander, which sailed once around the house and then settled at her feet and began to peck at the grain she had scattered for her hens. While she was wondering how she could catch the wild bird without help from her husband, who was away in the fields, it slapped its great soft wings and said, "So far as I can see, you have less than any woman in this country to complain about." "That's true enough," the woman said. "Then why do you do it?" asked the bird. "Because there is so much injustice in the world," the woman said. "In the village yesterday, a woman in her sleep rolled over on her child and smothered it, and an old man starved to death last month within 3 miles of here. Wherever I look, I see human misery, and here there is none, and I am afraid." "Of what?" asked the bird. "I am afraid lest they look down from the sky and see how blessed I am compared to my neighbors, and decide to even things up a bit. This way, if they do look down, they will also hear me complaining and think that poor woman has lots to contend with, and go on about their business." "Very clever of you," the bird said, cleaning the underside of its wing with its beak. "But in the sky, anything but the truth has a hollow ring. One more word of complaint out of you, and all the misfortunes of all your neighbors will be visited on you and on your husband and child." The bird flapped its wings slowly, rose above her, sailed once around the chimney, and then flying higher and higher was lost in the clouds, while the woman stood peering after it. The bread that she had left in the oven burned to a cinder.
Thank you very much. Who hired you at the New Yorker?
Catherine White.
Catherine White did, yeah. Wallace Shawn will be here after this break, along with Andre Gregory. Vanya on 42nd Street. This is Mr. Shawn's son. William Maxwell book, All the Days and Nights, The Collected Stories. they are, as he has read. It's a remarkable life, and it's a wonder to have you here, and I thank you very much for coming. Pleasure.